Sally Ford from McCoy Farm Gardens with our next video for this summer of 2020. This time we're going to focus on the Serpentine Gardens with Larry Mick. Larry is a volunteer and a board member, and he has revived and tended this Serpentine Garden, beautiful garden just down the hill from the main house. See you at McCoy. Well, here we are at McCoy on another fine summer morning. It's definitely warmer and drier, but the birds are singing and the garden is still growing. Let's head over to focus on this one little volunteer plant that came over from the Serpentine Gardens. We'll see it again. Here's one that I particularly love. It's larkspur. Consolida is its genus name. This is a legacy plant from Mrs. McCoy that is also in the Serpentine Gardens. The Serpentine Gardens are against this beautiful old low stone wall to the northeast of the Horseshoe Gardens. Larry Mick, another volunteer and board member, revived this garden and has tended it for the last few years. We'll take a closer look at the Serpentine Garden. Larkspur is a reseeding annual with blue, pink, or purple blooms. The leaves are lacy and remind me of dill. Aren't they beautiful? It likes full sun or light shade with well-drained soil and blooms in early summer. It's a close relative of delphinium. I just love that these came from Mrs. McCoy's historic garden. Good morning. Here we are at McCoy with Larry Mick, standing in front of the screened porch at the McCoy house. Larry, tell me about what's going on here, how you designed this.
Well, this is sort of a miniature of the gardens in front of the Grand Hotel in Mackinac Island. Decades ago, we were up there and saw this beautiful garden that went for 400 feet along the front porch of the hotel, and they had the cleome and dahlias and zinnias and other beautiful blooming plants, and
it's just gorgeous.
I brought this idea home and I've been using it at my house ever since.
Well, I feel like I'm on vacation. It's gorgeous.
Wonderful.
Why don't we walk over to the Serpentine Garden?
All right.
Larry's been tending this garden, reviving it and tending it for the last several years. Tell us the history about it, Larry.
Well, from early pictures, we're pretty sure that everything in front of the house was fields. And of course, everything up to Taft Highway was apple orchards.
My goodness.
So I suspect that when the Bachmans took over, in order to create a more level lawn, they put in a retaining wall,
and that's what we call the Serpentine
yes,
wall.
They put in this retaining wall because it goes around by the driveway as well, and they leveled that off. Otherwise, it would have been on a slope. So then 4 years ago, Joe Davis and I were transplanting an azalea from Mr. Hatfield's house before they tore it down.
Right.
And in finding a place to put the azalea, we picked a spot along this serpentine wall, and lo and behold, there was a brick border. And underneath all the grass and the leaves and everything. So I started cleaning out this brick border, and it turns out it was a border for this entire garden area.
Wow,
So,
one thing led to another then.
Yes, so we know that it goes back a long ways, and whether it goes back to Mrs. Bachman or Mrs. McCoy, we're not sure, because we've gotten some conflicting stories that some of the rocks in the wall actually came from the foundation of the Emma Bell Miles place.
Oh my goodness, what history. Maybe it's a combination of the two.
I think so, because I think that's way more rock than would have been in a foundation
right.
of a house. So anyway.
Well, let's walk along and you can spotlight some of your plants here, some of these pretty flowers.
What we've tried to do is create a garden that blooms all summer and attracts butterflies. The butterflies love the zinnias. Of course, the cleome attract bees and hummingbirds. I haven't seen too many butterflies on the cleome, but all this reseeds. So
it's beautiful.
All this is volunteer plants this year.
From what you started when
from years ago.
Yeah.
And you know, I brought some seedling zinnias over here a few years ago from a different garden, and now they just reseed. I plant a border, but even the periwinkle reseeds. So all that's volunteers.
How perfect.
And you know, it's as close as we're going to get to a sustaining garden.
Yeah.
Now I've brought in some perennials. Some I've bought because I didn't have them. Here we see the very last of the larkspur.
Right. We had that volunteer plan over in the Horseshoe Gardens. Thank you, Larry.
And I saved this. Yeah, right. And I saved this one because it's ready to come out. And what I do, see, they make all their seeds.
Yeah.
So I just shake them.
And they'll be back next year.
They'll be back next year.
That's awesome. Uh-oh.
Mom,
here it comes.
Yep.
This is gardening at its realest.
This is the real thing. But that was finished.
Oh my goodness. What other
So we have bee balm.
Okay.
Now that I planted, and that's a perennial. One of the last year I was over here weeding, and one of our visitors offered to provide milkweed.
Yeah, I saw that.
And so we've got milkweed started in there.
Yeah.
And then other places. So they were gifts. And
kind of a community garden in a different sense.
Yeah, people offer stuff. These peonies.
We got some pink turtle head donated for the Horseshoe Gardens. So yeah, we planted that this year.
So all the peonies that are along here came from Martha's garden down by the barn.
Right.
Susan,
which we're getting ready to...
Yeah, that's going to be the children's garden or
that's
the
what we're
garden?
working on.
Good.
And we have some more peonies, so we may need to transplant them. I don't know, we may keep them in that garden because they are beautiful in the spring.
They're as close to legacy plants as we're going to get.
Yeah.
They are. I brought over, these are third year for the zinnias.
Yeah.
And of course, as the flowers.
There we go.
There we go, but we got to keep them pruned. And of course the periwinkle.
With deadheading, they'll rebloom, right?
Oh yes, it forces them to sprout or to branch out. I brought over some perennial gladiolas, and they've done a nice job of spreading. Another peony.
Yeah.
This is the last of the cornflowers because that's ready to come out too. I pulled out all the others,
blue.
But it's a gorgeous blue, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. And then a different variety of milkweed.
Right.
What else?
Are those penstemon? No. What are these right here?
This is another variety of the bee balm.
Oh, okay.
Monardia, is that the real name? And a different color of the coneflower.
Oh, they're beautiful.
That was purchased.
Deep pink.
They were purchased, but yes, that's a deep one. More of the milkweed that somebody gave us. Priscilla, I think her name was.
And here's a good shot of this stone wall too. Now I understand that this is going to be repaired and rebuilt.
Well, we hope, because if you come around and look, a whole section is collapsed.
Yeah.
We can use most of the stone. It's in reasonably good shape, but
awesome.
It'll be a lot of work. We didn't want to do it during the summer because I didn't want the workers tromping down the plants.
It could happen.
It could happen easily. So here
is this the
yes,
azalea?
Here is the azalea that got all this started.
Thank you, little azalea.
We have that azalea to blame.
I love it.
It did transfer.
Or to give credit to.
It did transfer well.
It looks happy.
We had to cut it back. It turns out you can cut an azalea back at least 1/3 in the transplant process.
And that helps it, store its energy,
yes,
and then
exactly.
rebuild.
So now it is refilled, and it's a beautiful pink.
Awesome.
So that's a legacy of Mr. Hatfield.
Well, you know, this is just such a beautiful place. Have you got something else you want to look at? And
what else do we have here? Down here, they're called a sunflower. They have a long bloom time, which I try to aim for now.
Yeah, beautiful.
And they
very cheery.
They attract butterflies. So when I buy a plant now, I try to make sure that it has more than a short bloom time, and that it will attract. See, it's got little bees on it.
Yeah.
So it's a pollinator.
There's one I'm going to see. There you go. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Well, Larry, this is awesome. I've loved being here. Thank you so much for showing us around. I've got you in the beautiful house in the background.
Oh, all right, have enjoyed it. I'm glad for people to come out and look.
Thank you, Larry.
Look forward to it. Bye-bye.